What's good? This is JVB representing SPD, and that is sportsperDiem.com. The Chicago Bulls formally introduced their top 2 draft picks this year, Coby White and Daniel Gafford, to the Chicago media yesterday, and they were well-spoken. They had great personality. And giving John Paxson some credit, I will give him credit, they did a good job in the draft this year. I'll give them that. That doesn't mean that Coby White and Daniel Gafford are going to be hits. They may be busts. Who knows? But on paper, I will give John Paxson credit for making good draft choices. Now, Phoenix helped the Bulls out a little bit because a lot of people, including myself, thought that Phoenix would probably consider a point guard to go along with Devin Booker in the backcourt. But Phoenix ends up trading their first-round pick, swapping first-round picks with the Minnesota Timberwolves. And maybe the perception still was the Minnesota Timberwolves were jumping up in front of the Bulls to draft the point guard. But they didn't draft the point guard, and Coby White was still sitting there for the Bulls at 7 to pick. And the Bulls made the common sense decision. They do need point guard help because they've addressed it in the offseason already, talking about Chris Dunn and how he needs to improve and are not satisfied with Chris Dunn's production. So if you're saying all that about your starting point guard right now, if a top point guard is still on the board at number 7, you better damn well pick the point guard. And that's what the Bulls did. They select Coby White out of North Carolina. And in their second-round pick, they select Daniel Gafford, who was an athletic guy, a guy who gets a lot of easy baskets, a lot of putbacks, a lot of alley-oops. He's a defensive stopper in the paint, getting a lot of blocks, and he likes to run and gun. And to be honest, with a second-round pick, that was a very good pick by the Bulls. They didn't sell the pick. They didn't sell it for cash considerations to align Orion's doors for even more money that they don't need. They utilized the pick and they drafted a project in Daniel Gafford who could possibly be something. Guys like this, guys with athleticism like this, at that size, you may have picked up a gem in the second round. You never know. So it was good to see the Bulls go out and make a selection like that in the second round. And as far as the first round pick, I really do like Coby White, and he was there at 7. And even though he was there at 7, being a Bulls fan and seeing how John Paxson, the guard foreman, has gone about running this team over the last 16, 17 years, I won't lie. There's a thought in my head that these guys are so fucking incompetent at what they do sometimes that they wouldn't even pick Coby White. They'll pick somebody like Ty Jerome or something, Like, no disrespect to Ty Jerome, but you can't really trust John Paxson and guard foreman to make the right decisions. And even though they made the correct decisions in this draft, you still can't trust John Paxson and guard foreman. Let's keep it 100. Like, you still can't do all that. But now that the 2019 draft is officially over and Coby White and Daniel Gafford are officially Chicago Bulls, with free agency starting up this weekend, what will John Paxson and the Chicago Bulls do to fill out this roster? For me, it's all about depth. You need veteran depth on this team. You need shooting on this team. And no, that does not mean paying $20 million over 4 years for Malcolm Brogdon. I don't know why that report came out. I know it came out before the draft, before the Bulls drafted Coby White, but even so, I'm not spending $20 million over 4 years, $80 million total for Malcolm Brogdon. Hell no, I ain't doing that. Malcolm Brogdon is a nice player. He can be a very good sixth man. He can be a good starter. But he is not worth that money, especially for a team like the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls don't need a guy like that on their team because the Bulls aren't ready to win anything. I mean, maybe the Bulls could be a playoff team next year, but no, especially now. Now that you drafted Coby White, there's no need for Malcolm Brogdon. 4 years, $80 million? Hell no. You can get 3 rotational players for that type of money instead of paying one player, and that one player being Malcolm Brogdon, $80 million over 4 years, $20 million a year. You crazy. But now that that's out the way, the Bulls should look for point guard depth. The Bulls should look for veteran point guard depth. And I know personally, my choice will be Pat Beverley. One, because he's from the Chi. He's from Chicago. He's a tough guy. He will bring that toughness and that attitude to this young Bulls team. And this Bulls team needs somebody like that. They need veterans with an attitude. Not just the lunch pail and hard hat kind of veterans, but They need some veterans that has some attitude that's going to bring that spice to this team to help build this team and give this team a real identity. Give this team a mentality, a swagger that they compete with the good teams, even though they're not a good team. But give this team the mentality that every single night they can win every single game. That should be their mentality. That's the kind of players they need on this team to help toughen up this team, because if you've watched the Bulls over the last couple of years, this team is soft as hell. You would think they down 50, 60 points, how they react, the body language. A lot of the time, it just look like these guys just going through the motions. They just chilling. They just playing. They win, they lose a lot. But either way, they don't care. They just there, pretty much. No real emotion off the bench. It's just blah, just bland. So a guy like Pat Beverley, I would prefer. But I am hearing that his cost is going to be kind of high. So I'm not sure if they're going to be able to pay for a Pat Beverley and then get a couple of more veterans on the team, because they only got about 22, 23 million, like I said. And to get Pat Beverley is probably going to be about 12, 13, maybe even 14 million a year. So unfortunately, they may not be in the Pat Beverley sweepstakes, but they need some toughness on this team. They need some veterans that's not only solid players, contributors to the team, but going to give these guys a kick in the ass, because that's what these guys need. These young guys need to build their character. They need to get tougher, because you can't go out there every single night thinking like, oh, shit, we not going to win this game. We down by 20 already, We might as well pack it in, and no lights on the bench. Everybody's just got their head down and all that. You need some tough veteran leadership. So if you can't get Pat Beverley, real talk, and I know a lot of people might disagree with me, especially if you Bulls fans, but I would even look into trying to get Rajon Rondo back on the team. Run it back with Rondo, because at this point in Rajon's career, I don't think he's necessarily ring chasing. He just wants to play. And I think you can definitely get Rondo at a cheaper price than you would get Pat Beverley. And maybe the Bulls should really consider running that back, because Rajon Rondo has that toughness as well. Like a Pat Beverley, he's going to bring that to the team. And unlike the first time he was here with the Bulls, he doesn't have to deal with like divas, like veteran divas on the team, like a Jimmy Butler and a Dwayne Wade that's going to combat him when he's trying to bring up these young guys the right way. And you got a couple of divas over there on the side separating themselves from the team. That won't happen with this team, because the Bulls don't have, like I said, the Bulls don't have any personality. They have a lot of young guys on the team that needs direction. And I really believe that Rajon Rondo gets a bad rap in the first place. And I think if they consider bringing him back to a 1-year deal, maybe even 2-year deal with an option, that would be cool. Now, if you don't want to run it back with Rajon Rondo, there are some other point guards out there, like a Darren Collison, Corey Joseph, George Hill, guys like that. Ricky Rubio's out there, but I think Ricky Rubio is going to be a little bit too expensive for the Bulls. So there is some point guards out there that can help mentor Coby White and steer him into a good direction as his career begins. So those are some options at point guard. I really do believe that the Bulls' number one thing is to get shooting, because they hardly have any on the team right now. It's damn near non-existent. Besides Lauri Markkanen, Zach LaVine can make a three here and there. But besides that, you don't really have any snipers on the team. Anybody that's a threat behind the three-point line. So I think getting some three-point shooting in the backcourt and at the wings is going to be very essential for the Bulls in the offseason. Veteran guys like Danny Green, Rodney Hood, Wayne Ellington, Wesley Matthews, just to name a few veteran guys, not sexy names at all, but guys that can really help the Bulls as they try to find themselves and get to that next level, get to that playoff contending level as a 7 or 8 seed. You also have J.J. Redick out there as well, but I think J.J. Redick is in ring-chasing mode right now, that there's going to be a lot of title contending teams that's going to be looking for J.J. Redick's services. So I'll exclude J.J. Redick from that conversation, but those other guys that I mentioned are a few names that the Bulls will probably look at, that they'll probably kick the tires on, and they'll possibly get one, if not two of those guys that I just mentioned. Now, the Bulls need big man depth as well. They did draft Daniel Gafford in the second round this year. They have Wendell Carter Jr. coming back next season. They have Lauri Markkanen coming back next season. But they also have a big-ass black hole on their team, and that black hole is Cristiano Felicio, who is a waste of NBA space. And unfortunately, that's one of John Paxson and Gar Foreman many bad moves that they made, extending somebody like that for 4 years and $32 million. It was crazy when they made that move for Felicio, and it's even crazier every single day that Cristiano Felicio is still a Chicago Bull. It's one of the worst contracts in Chicago Bulls history. Like, there's no doubt about it. It's not even that crazy financially, $32 million over 4 years, $8 million a year, but to give somebody like that $32 million guaranteed over 4 years is fucking crazy, especially considering his talent level. This man was sent down to play in the G League last year. I don't know what the hell the motivation was giving that guy that contract extension, but that's probably, to me, in the team picture of worst contracts in Chicago Bulls history. But they need veteran big man help, and just like Rajon Rondo, another guy that I'm considering for veteran big man help is a former Bull. He had a longer career than Rajon Rondo here with the Bulls, but I'm talking about Taj Gibson. Now, Taj Gibson isn't a Rajon Rondo or Pat Beverley type of veteran who's going to get in your ass, per se, but he is a very good, solid veteran, and I know how much the Bulls front office, John Paxson, Gar Foreman, and even the Bulls fans, love and appreciated Taj Gibson when he was here with the Bulls. So I think that's definitely a possibility. I think them bringing back Robin Lopez would be a possibility as well. He's also a guy last year who was really good for the team. He was a really good veteran. He was a really good leader. Not the most talented guy in the world, but he played hard, and these guys loved him, and the team loved him, the front office loved him, and the fans appreciate him as well, So Robin Lopez is another guy that could possibly come back to the Bulls. Besides those two guys, there's other names out there like Dwayne Dedmon, Thaddeus Young, J. Michael Green, Markieff Morris, Kenneth Faried, and maybe even somebody like Kevon Looney, So those are just a few names out there that the Bulls will probably kick tires on as well in the front court. But there are some solid veteran options out there. Of course, the Bulls, knowing John Paxson and Gar Foreman, they're not trying to land a big free agent or even a significant free agent like a D'Angelo Russell maybe. So I'm not even considering guys like that. I'm just considering more of the mid-level type of guys, the guys who are maybe a little bit above mid-level, but veteran guys who can mentor these young players to try to improve on becoming a more credible team, a competitive team, a team that can possibly compete for one of the lower seeds in the playoffs next season. So those are a few options that I have. Like, we really can't be surprised at this point of what John Paxson and Gar Foreman may do come free agency. So we'll just have to sit back and see who they add to this very young Chicago Bulls team. One thing I do know, and I will address this again before the season actually starts, but Jim Boylen needs to readjust how he plays offense in this league because, like I said in previous videos, it is not 1995 anymore. It is 2019, 2020, baby. You just drafted Coby White and Daniel Gafford respectively in the first and second round this year. These guys run the floor. You already have Zach LaVine on your team. You have Lauri Markkanen on your team. You have Wendell Carter Jr. on your team. You have Otto Porter on your team. You have young guys on this team who can run. Last year, your slogan was run with the Bulls. The only thing that was running last year was y'all getting run off the court, getting blown out by 20, 30, 40 points a game. That was the only time you guys did any running. This year, that has to change. So, Jimmy boy, the pressure on, baby. Because if this team ain't in the top 5 or top 8 in pace, something's wrong. And you already ain't a good coach. So, if that's the case and these young guys aren't improving, the only thing that'll be really running next year should be your ass out of town. But I'm done. As for Coby White and Daniel Gafford, welcome to Chicago. As a Bulls fan, I hope you guys have fantastic careers. Hope you guys have a healthy summer league. And I'm interested to see how you guys gel with the roster and the guys that's going to be coming in via free agency. But I appreciate the listen. Make sure you guys like and share this video. Share it with fellow Bulls fans. Share it with basketball fans. Share it with Chicago sports fans. Share it with everybody. And also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Take it easy. God bless. Peace.